All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Get Mom Ready podcast. You have Meredith, Hannah, and Anna here with you today. Holly, we wish you well in your travels. We cannot wait to hear how it was traveling with Iris. Solo? Was she solo traveling with Iris?
Yeah, I got some pics. Things seem to have gone well so far, so good, but
I'm so
we're
glad.
2 days in, so
Sure. Bless and keep. Well, we can't wait to hear about that. We've got a really important and good topic today. But before we get into that, a real big thanks to our sponsor, PDPed.com. They are making developmentally healthy and appropriate shoes for your kiddos, all the ages, all the sizes. I'm thinking about myself as a child. I almost had to have orthopedic shoes. I had very wide feet, so PDPed would have been perfect. So you can get 20% off your first purchase with the code MOMREADY. So go to pdped.com, PEDIPED.com, 20% off your first purchase with the code MOMREADY. And as always, we invite you to like, subscribe, share the podcast. We love these conversations. We love bringing them to you, and we'd love to continue our reach. So thank you for being here and helping us do that. Today, we are talking about how to stay regulated in these very troubling times. And before we do that, I thought, Mare needs an energy shift. I need a little shift in my spirit. Let's talk about some fun things. So before we talk about staying regulated, which is such an important topic, but, it's just important to contend with the weight of the world and to acknowledge it. And at the same time, we're girly pops. Can we just shake it up for a quick little second and talk about something fun, like the last fun thing we bought? The 7 is here and she's like, I got to talk about the fun before we hold space for the serious. So let's do just like a little rapid quick fire. Anna, what is the last fun thing you bought or that you're using and loving and you want the girlies to know about?
Okay, this might not be like so fun, but the thing that we're loving, we just got one of the non-toxic pans because so late to the game, whatever. But we finally got one, and I've been keeping our old one just because like we've had it forever and I love it and I've used it. And I'm like, I'm not really a hoarder, but I'm always like a what if I need this type of person. It's like
hoarder light.
Because I'm like, what if I need to wear this for Halloween in 7 years? I'm going to be so sad that I threw that, random costume away, whatever.
Yep.
It's like that mentality. So anyways, because it seems to happen every year. I'm like, oh, if I would have just saved that, silly shirt that I never wore, but it's a great Halloween. Anyway, so my husband last night, he brought it to the bathroom and was like, I'm throwing this away. Like, I'm just letting you know. So bringing lots of joy that we have the new one and the old one is gone.
Are you using Our Place Green Pan? What's the brand, if we can ask?
He actually ordered it. I don't know. I would have to, I think it's off of Amazon. We looked at a number of them and we're like, let's start with like a cheaper option.
Yeah.
We looked at the Caraway ones, but we wanted like a very certain size. And so we needed to, shift a little bit to get the size that we wanted. Because we're very used to all the recipes we make in the size that we had. And apparently it's not a super common size. So anyway, I'll report back with the brand.
Yeah, keep us posted.
Yeah.
Well, great. She's got a healthy pan, bringing her joy out with the old and with the new. Hannah, what about you?
This is a hard one because now you started talking about pans and then I'm like, oh, that's fine. Okay. So I'm thinking about the kitchen, but no, I think I'm feeling spring in Houston here because, the breezes are coming, but it's sunny. It's getting hot out. So anyways, a couple of weeks ago, I finally bought this t-shirt that my friend had been telling me about for a long time. I'm like a white t-shirt. Talk about hoarder. I'm like a white t-shirt hoarder. And the way I am with everything, but especially with clothes, is I keep buying until I find the best of that.
Sure.
Yes.
Like, how many white button downs do I have?
Oh my God.
Keep trying until I found the perfect one, right? The oversized. So anyways, so this tee is the vintage t-shirt from Old Navy.
This is Old Navy too.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of boxy, kind of cropped. Like it's not cropped, but it's like it's a good one. It's like oversized. So it's like a little flowy for the spring. So the one thing that's very hard is hard to keep them white because I have a cat that likes this.
Yes.
So I'm going to put one in another size, like a little smaller size. So I can have a little bit smaller one and then a more oversized one. But I really like it. The vintage tee crew neck, like a crew neck.
Hannah, this just put a real lift in my spirits, and I'll tell you why.
I was going to go in shirt, and it's $11.
Right. And probably has a few different colors. Like if you didn't want white, but you wanted navy or whatever, because we're not wearing black. I'm just kidding. I'm just being my little color snob self. But I was going to talk about an actual product, but now I just have to tell you about the most recent thing that has brought me so much joy. And that is this. It started with helping my girlfriend clean out her closet and find the silhouettes in her closet that work for her so that she can literally wake up in the morning and grab and go and anything looks good together. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like if Kava or Chipotle were a closet, like we can mix and match and like we're good to go. And then that got me thinking about, okay, I've done my style analysis, but let me input all of that information. Basically, they look at my physique, my frame, my measurements, the whole thing and go, these are the cuts that work best on your body. It's powerful information. But I had low blood sugar the day I got mine done and I don't remember a lot. So I took I'm not kidding. I was dipping fast. I was like, oh, fascinating. And I was like about to faint. Anyway, like, what'd you say?
Yeah. Like, can we record?
Literally. Thank God I had girlfriends there because I'm like, what did she say about this? So the thing I know is that like I'm angular and that mid-rise looks good on me. That's the information that I have. But I have more in this little booklet they gave me. So I input all that into ChatGPT and I'm like, here's all my stuff. Help me understand the cuts that look good on me. Let's talk about t-shirts. Let's talk about outerwear. But like every category of clothing, it was like, because you're this, and this, these are the shirts. Crew neck, boxy. But I was like, wait, but I'm top heavy. I didn't think I could do boxy and crop because it emphasizes my bust. And the robot, whatever, it was like, that is true. Here's nuance. Here's where you want your crop to land. You want the shoulders to not be too oversized because that would make your shoulders look broader than they are, right?
Oh.
And you want the crew neck to stay closer to your neck, to be a little bit tighter, not loose. I'm like, these are details. What Holly talked about. Well, right. Do you remember when Holly talked about on the Style podcast with the Style episode of Priscilla, seeing some people in a coffee shop and they weren't wearing anything crazy elegant, but they looked super sharp. And she's like, I could not put my finger. And I promise you, it probably is the way that things fit them, like the cut.
Yeah.
And so I've been like playing with this idea in ChatGPT and asking, okay, is this sweatshirt on me too big? Is this too cropped? Is this not cropped? Like, what are we talking about here proportionally? It's like, we're getting closer, but if it was more this way, it is fascinating and bringing me so much life because it's fun, it's easy on the brain, but then it gives me something to go, okay, instead of me buying 10 more of these sweatshirts that or these types of sweatshirts that I think look good, actually knowing, nope, this is the kind that you need. So anyway, that was a very long way of saying, that's been a very fun project.
That's very fun.
That's really fun. I know. And I think it's so funny because I'm like, even as I'm saying this now, and you're saying like the different type of crew neck, if I put on a long cut, which is so funny because I'm like, I'm wearing this now, so I don't know why this is different, but like a t-shirt that's
not it for you.
I look like a schlub. Like,
because you might not be angular. Are you angular? Are you more
probably
slow?
not? I don't think.
Yeah, I'm angular. So like a V-neck on me, not too deep, but a V-neck looks good because it does something with the angles. It's
the
great.
neck looks good, but it's like I think there's like a collar, so it's like this is like lifting this up or whatever.
Yeah, it brings some like extra puff.
Like some visual whatever. But,
balance, whatever. These are the questions I have for ChatGPT. I'll be like, okay, does this look good? I think it does, and here's why. But I need to understand. So like, help me understand why it brings balance. It's been very fun. So anyway,
I want to do that.
Yeah. Very. Don't put it past me to bring a measuring tape with me or like one of those measuring tapes when we see each other next week. We'll input it on to ChatGPT. What are my cuts? Anyway.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Let's do it. We have a million things to do.
We have so many things to do.
Okay. Now, sharp right turn we can transition into. Now that we've come into our spirits and we've lifted the mood a little, well, my mood has been lifted. We are going to talk today. I feel like this is going to be an episode that Hannah is particularly expert in. Staying regulated when our phones are, I'm saying collectively as a society, going off with notifications with incredibly traumatic, disturbing news. And yet we still have these day-to-day lives that we need these tiny humans that we are responsible for and get to tend to. And yet we are living in just, horrifying times.
Bombarded.
Bombarded with a lot of that. If we choose to be, I think we need to talk about choice and input in this conversation as well.
That's true.
So anyway, that's kind of where we're headed, everybody. Hence why we started off very light, because this is where we're going. It's going to be important and good. And, of course, it's just like, okay, how do we navigate this? We need to talk about the practical side of how we navigate the world in which we're living. So
can I add one thing?
I want you to, please.
I would love to just add a disclaimer that I think this is also, I don't know. I think it's classified as a podcast that's not for kids, but I just want to like add an extra disclaimer today that if you do have children in the room or in the car or wherever, maybe put your AirPods in or listen to this in another time, because this will be something where we're talking about current events or things that could be traumatic or just
heavy,
harder topics.
Yes.
Yeah, heavy topics and maybe words that you're like, maybe I don't want to introduce that to my child today. So if this is kind of the extra time that we're giving
to
hear a podcast, put your earbuds in or pause it or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Well, that's it. I think I was going to toss it over to one of y'all to kind of like, what are you hearing? What's feeling like overwhelming right now besides the news itself? I mean, because we can't control the news cycle. We can't control world events. But we can control our input and our response. I mean, the social worker in me is like bristling because I'm like, I know. Like nobody like get mad at me because I know that there's a ton of privilege to turn things off. I get it. And there truly is psychologically only so much we can take. And so even, Hannah, it makes me think of your work as a therapist. Like I kind of think it would almost be helpful to be reminded from a psychological, physiological level that we were not intended to be exposed to this much input, because I think it kind of sets the stage for like, actually, it's okay. Here's actually a ton of permission from a licensed clinical therapist to turn some things off,
Yeah. So that's a great question. So initially our brains if we think of like thousands of years ago, our brains were designed to handle short periods or short bursts of stress. So you think of a bear coming at you or, something in the wild, or maybe, someone from a different
tribe.
Tribe.
Yeah, village, whatever.
Wherever. And so the period of stress is supposed to go up because your adrenaline goes up, right? Like you think of even nowadays, like you see a dog that is not on a leash, it's baring its teeth. Like, oh my gosh, me running in my parents' neighborhood, it's like they all have everybody has like a ton of land, so like a lot of their dogs just kind of like run wild. I was worried about bears and I should have been worried about dogs, but right, so it's short periods of stress. So I'm running down the street, I see a dog, my adrenaline spikes because I'm like, oh no, I got to do something. It allows, more blood to the body to run, to scream, to get help, to go to safety, whatever it is. Then when the threat is gone, it goes back down. And that is what our bodies were designed to do, right? We feel the stress, we react, and then we recover. And
it was meant to be acute.
Yes. Right. But when we are in constant stress, and I keep going like this, it's like, because I have this image of this graph. I remember this like stress, like the physiological stress response. And so it's like this graph. And so if we are up here at the top of the graph and we are staying there all the time, and that's the constant news coming at you. I mean, you think of, maybe grandparents or whoever like that listen to the news all the time, or they've always got like a radio in, or you're like every morning you got to listen to like the daily news, whatever, that tells you all the horrible things that are happening, or you've got your phone on ping and it's like work, right? So that we're in constant stress, and we think about constant stress on the body is going to have this wear and tear effect. So it just keeps breaking us down, and it's not the way our body was designed to work. There's no recovery time, and we get used to it. We get used to it. I mean, I think I posted something the other day that was just like, what did I say? Why does it not feel safe to rest? And it's like, we're not used to this. We're just kind of like used to the
constant adrenaline. The
adrenaline, the constant input, things like that. And social media was also designed to keep you dysregulated. When something on social media dysregulates you, it knows, and it sends you more of that. Anger keeps you on your phone longer. And so when you see something, chills. But I've like just a lot of like people that have written, maybe, I don't know if this is, I don't know if this is Jonathan Haidt or I don't know if this is another, I have another book like How to Break Up with Your Phone or like other books that have done studies on social media, but it's like the anger is what keeps
Mm,
you on there. And
yeah.
so even
Mm,
news outlets that are maybe trying to tell you the truth, which like, what is the truth? It's so, you know, they want you just to click. Your click is money, your attention is money, your time, like the time that your
mm,
eyeballs are on the thing, like that's
mm.
money.
It is.
And
And
even,
sorry,
yeah, go ahead, Mary.
no, I've been taking up a lot of space. Go. I can hold on to it.
Even we kind of touched on this last week, but even if it's not this major news story that's meant to be globally disruptive, I feel like even some of the, because my algorithm does not get a ton of that stuff because I don't engage with it. But I do get a lot of stuff that I feel like tries to evoke anger or stress around parenting because
Sure.
that's what I click on.
Yeah.
That is like my whole life. And so
Sure.
it's like, oh, like last week we were talking about carrying the mental load, and it wants you to feel angry that you are carrying this. And in a way, yeah, at your husband or at your kids for taking your time or like whatever it is, it's like,
Interesting.
oh, you deserve wine right now. Even stuff like that
It's subtle but real.
it's subtle, but it does make you think, yeah, I do, which then is taking you down the rabbit trail of anger or like I deserve. It might not even be anger, might not be the emotion, but it's negative, right?
Yeah.
It's like me against instead of me for.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, it's constantly positioning
Mm.
who or what we are against and
Yeah.
not what we're for, which is
Yeah.
like, why?
Yes, 100%. Well, and then it makes me think about, a little bit, I think this is connected. It makes me think about our spending habits. To be fair, I was just listening to a podcast with a financial expert and talking about our behaviors and how social media, the internet knows and how it can just exploit us. But if you're angry and you want a dopamine hit and you want to feel better,
Yeah.
those shoes that you've been looking at and that are following
You deserve them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, oh
right.
God, it's something to make me feel better. You need
Only
something in it.
$100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And it's
Sale.
understandable. Or I need 5 of these things from Free People, like right now, because it's the
Yeah.
thing that's going to make me feel better. It's like all these truths wrapped in a lie. Well, I don't even know it's truths wrapped in a lie, but yes, the point is like, then we start to look for anything. Well, I guess, okay, maybe here's what it is. If we zoom out, the way I'm thinking about this, the context that I just brought into the conversation is like, then it impacts our spending habits and whatever. And Anna, what you were just saying is like, then it impacts how we think about things and the stories we started to confirm, like, I do need wine and these kids are driving me nuts and I am the only one who does anything. Like, whatever it is, it starts to perpetuate a cycle in our heads. And I think then it's worth pausing to know. And I think that therein lies the part where this conversation enters in. Okay, these things are happening. We're allowing them to happen, whether we realize it or not. So how can we stop and regulate ourselves in the midst of, honestly, what feels like a hamster wheel of absolute emotional chaos? Because we desperately want to be regulated. But to your point, Hannah, I don't think the tools always feel accessible. And when something does go quiet, you almost feel like you're in a big empty house and you hear a floor creak, and instead of going, oh, a big empty house, like peace, you go, what's wrong? You're just not used to like the calm. So like, what are the tools? And maybe even I wonder about if we can start to brainstorm like questions we can ask ourselves or something like a quick exercise we can take ourselves through. This is not premeditated. I'm genuinely shooting from the hip right now to where we can go, okay, I'm spiraling. I know it. And I'm either going to spend money I don't need to, I'm going to continue thinking negative thoughts about my life, my kids, my spouse, whatever, or I'm just going to have a pit in my stomach the rest of the day, and that's going to impact how I show up. What do I need to do? What tool can I use in this moment,
Yeah. Well, before we dive into tools, one thing that I've been thinking about too, and I think, we've discussed this before, is you were talking about the impact that it has, Meredith. And like a lot of times we are doing everything at once, right? So we have our phone while we're cooking, while we're taking care of our kids. And the ripple effect of the things that, even if it's not new, if it's news, if it's work, if it's, your friend's group chat, whatever it is that's like, kind of blowing up at the moment, you're not only not able to even focus on the task that you're trying to do, you also like with your kids, you're shorter, you're on edge, you're out here, you're like way over here, and they're right here needing you right here. And I just think it's an important reminder of like the impact that it constantly has when we're constantly attached to our phones. And so, I think it's important to remember, like, you might be needing to regulate while your kids are asking you for 7 things at one time, or while they're sobbing at your feet. Like, you're going to have to use this in times where you're not alone in your car.
Right.
Like, I have 5 minutes to regulate. Like, we need to talk about how to do this when everything's happening. You have something burning on the stove, your kids are yelling, and your mind is like exploding with whatever chaos is on your phone.
Yeah.
Well, if something's burning on your stove, then that's a good adrenaline rush to fix that.
Yeah. That goes
that
out
would be
first.
The time I would say tend to that first. We can talk about regulation.
Yes.
When that's done. Something else too, because I'm like, let's hype us all up and then we can move towards regulation. But I think, Meredith, something you were talking about is this empty house. And when we either try to regulate or we notice things maybe externally are calm, I think that's where the guilt seeps in. And then it's like, ooh, I have calmness in my house or in myself. And yet everyone else in the world, or not everyone else in the world, but it feels like all these other people in the world are not experiencing.
Yes.
And so there's the guilt over the privilege.
Yes.
That we are even talking. I mean, let's just name this is like, we on this podcast are even talking about regulation.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of like trying to survive.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think that is something just to acknowledge that like there's privilege in that.
Yeah.
And so, yes, everyone, it doesn't mean that we don't get to struggle and that we don't get to, work on self-soothing or regulation or things like this and even have this conversation, because this is still important. Like there isn't this hierarchy of like, some people get to work on their emotions and some people don't. But I think just naming the reality that yes, it is a privilege that we get to talk about this, and that guilt doesn't help anyone. Just because you feel guilty that people are unhoused 10 minutes from you doesn't make them live in a house. Like it doesn't make them get their meals today. Like it doesn't, the guilt doesn't, it's not paying for that. It's just, it's making you feel worse and probably less capable to maybe do what you want. Maybe you did want to bring a meal to someone. Maybe you did want to work, volunteer somewhere or do, but if you're stuck in this like shame spiral of like, why do I have this and they don't? Or why do they have this and I don't? Like how is there space then for you to do the thing you actually want to do?
Yes.
I think there's a way in which the guilt helps us contend with our privilege. It's like, but don't worry, I do feel guilty. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that, for me, I'm like, I know I don't watch the news, but I get it. I'm privileged. Signal. It's virtue signaling. I mean, the guilt helps me feel justified and better. It's like the trade-off I make. I'm like, well, I don't watch the news, but don't worry, I do feel guilty. Don't worry, everyone. I know I'm a privileged white woman. I get it. I'm like, nobody yell at me.
It's your
I'm whatever this motion is when flagellating, flailing, whatever myself. Like it's like, okay, that's not not helpful.
It's not going to help. Yeah,
it's just not.
So Hannah, before you dive into some of the like more practical, like what we can actually do, can you talk for a second about why we are in this state now where I think so many of us have anxiety when there's nothing to be anxious about? It's like when we have those moments of silence or like those moments of pause, why do we seek the anxiety again? Like what's happening?
Okay. Well, this is a funny thing that we always say, but when neurons fire together, they wire together.
Okay.
So have you guys heard that about your brain?
No, but
okay.
You're teaching me something.
Yes. But so when we make these connections in our brain, then we continue to make them. It's the same way, like let's talk about babies, right? They watch you put the blocks on the, stack them on, or no, you know what? I'll say something that's like a little bit random. Nora will watch me take off a chapstick and put it on my lips and then close it back up. And then she will now see anything that looks kind of like that, right? Grab it, try to take it off, put it on her lips and put it back on, right? So she has now made that connection that this is the thing that you put on your lips. And so her neurons have fired together. Now they're wired together. And so now when she sees a chapstick, she's going to want to just do the same thing because that's what her brain is telling her to do. The same way, kids learn how to stack and then they do it again. And then they want to do it 700 times because they want to master it and things like that. It's the same way we have negative thoughts every time. This one's hard, but you spill. You have a negative thought. Oh, I'm so clumsy. I'm so stupid. Oh, should have known, should have been carefuler. Why didn't I hold the glass? I knew it was slippery, right? So if I do that every single time I drop something, that's my automatic thought. It fired together probably as a kid and it continues to wire together. I mean, even my dad was talking about that. Like one of my kids spills a lot. And he was like, oh, wow. When I was growing up, I used to get in so much trouble when I would spill. Aww. Like his dad would like always, get on them like when they would spill. And so then it's like, it's kind of in him too. Like he doesn't get mad, but he's just like, it's like the feeling of, I
messed up.
Like something's wrong. Like if you weren't being careful or you weren't.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's the same way. We are wired for stress currently because we're like stress. You have to be busy. We've glorified being busy, like busy, but good, how are you? Busy, but good. And it's like, oh, good. She's doing something with her life, right? Like what if you were like, I'm happy.
Busy, but so true. If that isn't the line of like the women everywhere, you called us out. Thank you.
Oh, but good things, right? Good things. And then it's like every 3 weeks, they're like, I'm having a mentee bee. And it's like, yeah, of course you are. Because it's like, it probably around their cycle, that's probably the time where they're like, oh, everything is too much. And like, but right, like everybody is saying that. And so it's like, we're wired for stress. We're wired to like pack our schedules. And I feel the same way too. Like even today, I'm like, ooh, okay, I'm going to drop off the girls and then we're going to go to HEB. And then from HEB, we're going to go to the gym. And then we're going to come home. I'm going to shower and I'm going to get ready. And then I'm going to put Nora down. And then we're going to have a great podcast. And I'm like, look at me. The more I pack my day, the more I get done. And I feel amazing, right? But like at some point, I'm going to crash and be like, why didn't I sit?
Yeah.
Why didn't I read something or because it feels unproductive. So anyways, going back, we've wired ourselves for stress. And so when things don't feel like when we don't have, either these like external or internal, because if I don't have external, like kids being like, I need all these things. I'm like thinking to myself, like, what do I need to get done? What else can I move, move forward in the house? Like, what can I prepare for ahead of time? You're just constantly thinking, oh, or what if when's the shoe going to drop? I hear that a lot too. That people are like, well, things are good. And if I tell somebody that things are good and calm, something bad's going to
crash.
Happen.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we do?
Well, I think, it sounds so silly, but I think the first thing is your self-talk, like rewiring your brain for positive self-talk. And it's like, it feels woo-woo. It feels, affirmations, it feels annoying. But if you really listen to how you talk to yourself, like take a moment and think like, okay, what did I just say? Or even out loud. And like we at our house, we say, like Dave will say this to me, he's like, don't talk to my wife that way or something. Like if you say something, like if I'm like, oh, I'm such an idiot, I forgot this. And he's like, hey, don't talk about my wife that way. And I'm like, oh yeah. And so like, we'll say it to the girls, like, hey, don't talk about my daughter that way. Like if they, are saying something that is just not nice to themselves. And so we're like bringing awareness to, and it's so helpful because it's like, I don't think of it as hurtful. Like if I'm like, I'm such an idiot, I forgot that. Like, I don't think of it as hurtful, but is it because I've just internalized it? Like I do have a trigger with incompetence. So like me calling myself an idiot probably isn't nice.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And I read, this is a little bit off, but adjacent to this, a convicting word for us parents. I read something recently that said something about like, careful how you talk to yourself because that becomes your child's inner voice. And I'm like, okay, well, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the motivation, right? Though it's like, okay, we're going to forget everything that happened in the past, but starting right now, we're going to do our best. It's like, because I now have a motivation to do better instead of like, oh, for me, I don't care. I'm just me, whatever. But you think about your kids growing up and you're like, I don't want them to think this about and I have control over that. That's cool. Like, let me influence, you know.
Yeah.
100%.
I think this has been really interesting in women I work with around body image.
Yeah.
And to help them, because sometimes it's hard to think like, what should I be saying to myself, or what could I be saying to myself? They have a daughter. I'm like, what would you say to your daughter? Right? Like, that is the immediate, like, oh, I know exactly what I would say. And it's like, okay, say that to yourself. Like that, you know, anything that you would want to say, like you would say to her about dessert or, you know, movement or whatever.
Yeah.
Say that about yourself. And I think that is something that can be helpful. And I think the same way. So first, if we're talking about self-talk, recognize what you're doing. Recognize what you're doing. And maybe at one point in your life that helped you. Let's not even be judgmental about ourselves. Like, I'm not going to be judgmental that I call myself an idiot when I drop something, or when I double schedule, or if I mess up the schedule. That's something that happens, or that happens recently, that I was like, oh, I messed up the schedule. And then it was like, you know, we had to be rushing around, and it impacted my husband. And so that I think that was also, if it just impacts me, I might just be like, oh man, but it impacted him. And so if I think about that, like just stopping myself to be like, hey, that's not a nice way to say it. Am I allowed to make mistakes? So getting curious, like, am I allowed to make mistakes? Am I allowed to make a mistake that had to do with scheduling? And is my husband going to be okay? Like, he's going to be okay. Yeah, it's going to be okay. But it hurts because I don't want to impact his work day, or I don't want, you know, to make him rush around for things like that. And then say like, okay, then the compassion will come in and say like, okay, it's okay. I'm not an idiot. You know, maybe I have a lot on my plate. Right. So I think if I were to break it down, I just made this up on the fly, but we're stopping it. So we're like recognizing the negative thought pattern, getting a little curious about it. Like, I wonder why, non-judgmental, and then offering some compassion. And I think that would be, if we're talking just about self-talk, that would kind of be my like, okay, let me see if I've done these things. And then what can I say to myself?
So what about when it is like these external things, right, that are overwhelming our brains? Is it like, do we look at, how do we talk ourselves through that adrenaline spike when we don't want to feel it because of the news or our work or our phones or whatever?
Yeah. So I think something, and this is something I experienced too. And again, I said this in the beginning, just like, but my job used to be in sexual abuse, physical abuse, witness to violence. Like, that was my job. And so that was my 100% of work every day. And so when I would leave work and go into a setting that was
neutral, or like,
neutral, it was just not mental health. It was not abuse. It was not violence.
Yeah.
I would be so vigilant. I would just like always be so vigilant. And I remember my mom was like, you have to spend time with people that are, you know, not experiencing trauma. And so I think, let's say practically, if your phone, and this is what happens to me, is it like, if my phone is continuously showing me stuff on social media that I didn't ask for, like I don't follow news people when I go to Instagram, like I want clothes, I want interior design, I want my friends, like I want my friends, I want, like, I love therapy stuff, like I love watching like therapy reels, funny stuff, you know, like funny mom content, like that's what I want to see. Oh, DIYs, you know, like that's what I want to see on social media. I'm not like going to it for my news outlet, but it doesn't matter. It will still send you stuff, and like your friends will post stuff. And so that's, you know, that's something you can't really, so, you know, if my friends are posting something and it's not saying that I don't want to, but my adrenaline spikes, right? I get angry, I get upset, I feel guilty. It's like, oh, if you're not doing, you know, whatever, but then I'm like, oh, I have a little kid that's about to like stick something in an outlet. Like, oh, okay, I can't really call, you know, so-and-so right now. But shutting that down, right? And like limiting your time, maybe you're muting people. limiting your time on your phone. People are talking about that brick. I'm still like, no, you got to do it yourself. For me, other people can do brick, but for me, I'm like, I got to do it myself. Yeah. So limiting your time and also like protecting your peace. Like I remember that even when I was pregnant, whenever I would go on Instagram, it would be like a video of like a rare genetic disorder of a child. And I'm like, Anna, when you were talking earlier, I was like, I bet you get a lot of like medical stuff on yours. And so it'd be like kids in the hospital, losses, pregnancy thing, like just like all these complications and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is horrible that whenever I have a client that is either trying to conceive or pregnant or just has a new baby, I'm like, turn it off. Like you have to, turn it off or mute whatever you can mute, because they are like, it feels aggressive. Like it feels like they're out to get you, to be anxious about everything.
Yes.
It makes me think about a conversation that I had with Jennifer Seiss recently. And I think she alludes to this on our podcast with her. So listener, if you haven't yet listened to the podcast with Jennifer Seiss, wow, about honestly taking control of your life, but she does it through the lens of time and decision fatigue in that particular episode. But her and I were chatting recently and she used the word, and I know that she talks about this in her book, but she used the word evaluate and I can't get it out of my head. And I think there's something to that needs to be added to the toolbox, because it's like, when we're overwhelmed, when we're scrolling, while we're sauteing, while the child is at our heels, while the other one is doing homework, and while the husband's getting home, whatever is going on, we have to stop and evaluate what is working and what's not here, what's important and what's not. And is the group message important in this moment? It's exciting. It's giving me something. It's what I'd rather be doing with my time, but it is not the thing that has a timestamp on it, like getting dinner on the table. So like, okay, let me stop and evaluate. And I think sometimes evaluation needs to happen ahead of time. It's the same way people stop and meal plan on a Sunday. They evaluate what they've got, what they need to do, but they've made a conscious choice to set aside time to evaluate. In the same way that you are not going to get a hold of your nervous system unless you stop to evaluate what is working for me and what's not. And if me scrolling at every chance I get, every time I pass the kitchen and pick up my phone on the way to the bathroom, or on the way to wake up a kid or go pick up something or whatever, if I am doing that constantly, I am making that choice to have that constant input. I'm allowing it. And so the other question is, what are you allowing?
Yeah.
And it's not that you get to decide if you stick your head entirely in the sand, a little bit above it, input, you maybe you listen to a podcast that gives you the news rundown for 5 minutes a day. And then you follow that with like your favorite song to kind of boost dopamine a little bit before your day starts, but you wanted to be informed. Girl, whatever works for you, but you get to decide the limits, because the problem is no one's deciding the limits for you. And if you allow it, you will have constant input because it's made to be addicting. That's not your fault. That's the way it works, baby. And so it's like, you will have constant advertisements to you about how your life isn't enough and how you could feel like the girl in the advertisement with the cute outfit and the cute kid and the cute coffee and the whatever else. You will be made to feel like you're supposed to feel like her all the time, or you'll learn about more stuff with the Epstein files or whatever, like if you allow it. Yeah. So you have to stop and evaluate what works for me, what doesn't.
And I think, I mean, what you're saying is too, like, what are your values? And it's like, I struggle to even say like, where did it come from? And this is just my thought as you're saying this, but like, where did it come from that you have to be in the know?
Hello.
Where does that come from? That if you don't know what's going on in the world, then something's wrong with you. And it's like, why is that? Why is that? Because I do think so important. Like, even as I'm saying it, I'm like, people are going to be like, well, you can't. And it's like, yeah, I get it. But I'm also like, my job mostly is to care for my family. And that's what I need to do every day. My values are my community, first my family, of course, but then my community, like God, right? So if I am doing those things in the circle that I have now, that's my job. If I don't know what's going on everywhere else, does that make me a bad person? I don't. Yeah.
Right. I know. Well, I was going to ask that, and maybe we don't have the answer, and that's totally fine. But for the person who's thinking this whole time, I stay in the know because it is important to know. There's that side of it. And then there's the side that
value, maybe.
And so, yeah. And I guess maybe that's it. Maybe that's the question to ask yourself is, what are your values now?
Yeah. And so even as you're saying this, I'm like, okay, what are my values around this? Because I want to be in the know enough so I can vote. Right. So part of the system to continue to vote and like exercise my right for that feels like an important thing. And yeah, do I need to know every little thing? I don't know. Some people might argue with me and say, you do need to know all these things in order to figure out who's doing what. But I mean, if we're really honest, everyone's corrupt, like, and not that I think that that's right. Obviously, I don't think that's right. But if you don't have enough money, then how do you get enough visibility that you are getting voted for? Like, this system is completely, wow, we are down a rabbit hole. This system is entirely corrupt. It was not made. And it just was not made. It was not made for us to input all of this information. And that is what we are collectively feeling. I think we are collectively, as a society, we are feeling the trauma. I mean, I even think about this, like, we're used to watching people die on TV. Isn't that messed up? That to me is like, even like in kids' movies, I'm like, wait, he just like stabbed so-and-so through the heart. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why? And they're like, wait, you can't watch someone die? And oh my gosh, it's so crazy. Like, you watch a violent movie and then you're like, we're being accustomed to this, and this should horrify us.
Yeah.
Right. We're so desensitized to, my husband had on the State of the Union the other night, and I realized, like, I told him, I was like, tell me you're not going to fall asleep with this on, because I realized my heart, like my whole body was trembling. And I was like, and I was reading, but
so smart, Hannah.
I just heard it. And I was like, I feel so anxious, and I'm trying to focus on the words, but the more I'm trying to focus on my book, the more I'm hearing. And I'm like, why do I feel so anxious? I was like, I can't handle the amount of, and it was, anyways, the content doesn't matter. It was just like, it's just that feeling.
Elicits the stress response.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to decide because here's the deal. This conversation is we've got a plant. Hold on. Ethan. I mean, he's like, okay.
He knows you're trying to focus. So he's like, what can I do right 100%. Now to get my mom's attention?
And then he looks at me like, you sure, girlfriend? Because I'm really cute when I look at the plant. I'm like, okay. This conversation is going to land in 1,000 different places with different people based on their values and what they want to do and all that jazz. And that's great. I think for the heart behind this was like, the conversations we are having with friends and loved ones around, like, how do we kind of stay sane and regulated and grounded? Because you don't want to turn a blind eye, but you also have to protect your peace and your environment and all the things. Mm-hmm. And so it's a nuanced, delicate conversation. And I want to acknowledge, kind of on behalf of Get Mom Ready, this is going to land in a bunch of different places with everybody. And that's great. That's what makes us unique snowflakes. Okay. And I think perhaps the conversation is, or the gentle, I'm going to use from me, the gentle nudge from me to myself and to anybody who has ears to hear, as it were, is operate within your values, operate within your principles. And if stuff is coming out sideways because you're living stressed, evaluate. That's it. The prompt is just to evaluate. You get to do with your time and your input what feels best for you. And you are the only one who can give yourself permission to maybe not consume as much, to maybe not need to watch the Nancy Guthrie case as much. Like, it's going to haunt you no matter what. Yeah. So maybe give yourself a little bit of breathing room, but that's your call to make. Yeah. And the call here, I think, is to at least give yourself the opportunity to stop and evaluate, and maybe do that as often as it takes, because you can tweak as much as you want to, and maybe one day looks different from the next. But if you're noticing you're constantly stressed and you're snippy and whatever, I would just submit. Okay, look at your.
Well, and so yes, I think that's so true, and I think what we have noticed and how this kind of conversation came about was the same way, right? Like, that parents were noticing that they're at capacity and they're snapping at their kids because they've been reading too much about all these awful things. And then your kid does something like so random, and then it comes out sideways. And it's like, it's not your fault. It's not your kid's fault. And how do you change some things that are part of your values? And even as we talk about this, like, make a decision and let that guide you, right? So maybe my decision is like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I get out to vote for the primaries. I know who I'm going to vote for, and I'm going to do that. And that's my decision. And why do I need to listen to every news outlet before then? I don't. So I'm going to focus on the things that are important to me and the other things that are part of my value system. And like, I don't want my kids doing this either. Like, I don't want them to be focused on the news so much. I want them to live their lives. And so I think being able to make that decision, like you said, of what do I want to pay attention to and what do I not? And if Instagram right now or TikTok or whatever social media that you're on is feeding you stuff that's not, like, you can live without it. You can turn it off and you don't have to look at it. And the same with, your text message, like put your group chats on mute, or you
can literally put things on do not disturb. You literally can customize your settings.
Yes. And two, like, it's so hard to do, but we don't need our phones all the time. I notice I have my phone with me all the time. Every room I go into, I'm like, where's my phone? And last night Dave's was away, and so I'm putting the girls to bed, and I always have my phone when I'm putting Nora to bed. But then I go to put the other ones and I'm like, it's plugged in. Like, it is plugged in, it's charging, it's whatever. Like, I don't need my phone to look up something silly. I don't need to text dad right before we go to bed. Like, I don't need to, I can just read stories, talk to them. And it's like, you can survive. You can survive without it. And if that's the thing that's making you crazy, put it up for an hour.
Yeah. And I do wonder too, if we like thought about it as, okay, instead of like, I'm going to put my phone away because I need to, I'm going to put my phone away so that I can, and think about like what you want to do without your phone. And maybe that I like, and just in my head, I'm like, that's a little bit more motivating than like, oh, I know I should put it away, but what if I get an emergency call? I need it right here. It's like, but what if I step away for 10 minutes and do something, whatever it is for you that like brings you a little bit of joy, and just like see what happens, changing the why.
You almost have to get the reps in without your phone to train your nervous system that it's okay to live without it.
Yeah. So you, Meredith, maybe talk about, I know we're just about at time, but if you are someone that walks the walk, like I feel very tethered to my phone, and I wish that I didn't, but like you definitely are somebody that walks the walk. You're not on Instagram anymore. I don't think you have your phone with you all the time. Well, maybe you do.
Let's be clear. It's sitting right here. I mean, like,
but like we're
still
here.
Struggle with being on my phone. And I'll tell you, yes, there are many strides that I have made that have made my mental health, my nervous system, my sense of wow. I feel, but I struggle to talk about it because I don't want to sound like, well, I'm not on Instagram. I mean, everyone I know is like,
people need to know it's possible.
Right.
Because what happens is people don't think it's possible.
You're making the choice. You're not putting yourself up here. You're just, you make the choice.
It ended up, that's a whole separate conversation, but it ended up being that I got off Instagram and just progressively stayed off of it. And now it's been almost 2 years and I do not miss it. I miss seeing people. I'm like, oh my gosh, how's that person doing? But honestly, the input, there is no way that I would feel as like content and at peace as I do if I had that constant stream of input, because I was addicted, like we all are. I mean, just like, oh, it's just the thing that you go to. And so now I don't have that. I mean, let's be honest, I'm still on Pinterest a lot because I love to look at the pretty things. I'm like, oh, this is fun.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
So, and it's annoying because there's a ton of advertisements on there too. And I'm like, I'm the ads, but whatever. I'm still on Pinterest. I'm on Substack, but I will say my phone, I would bet that my phone usage is down. And at the very same time, I still struggle with, like, I have to remind myself, Meredith, you don't need your phone with you to go to the next room. Like, you're good. It can stay where it is. And I've been trying this thing that I saw someone write about on Substack, which was treating their cell phone like a landline and keeping it connected and plugged in one place. And when you need to use it, you go to that corner like you used to a landline and you look the thing up real quick and you sit in your uncomfortable little corner, because then you're going to be out of there real soon because you're not walking through your house with it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I don't know. You have to kind of put regulations on yourself. But this is the thing. We are, as adults, we have to reparent ourselves in some ways. And it's not easy. We cannot act like teenagers. Well, I want it. Cool. You don't always get to have it. Like, you're not a child anymore. You're not a teenager. You are not, you cannot be like, well, I'm an adult. I can do what I want. This is the story of my life. I have to constantly be like, that's true. You can. Is it best? And do you need to? So you kind of have to challenge the inner teenager, the inner child, and just give yourself some tests. Like, what if just for the next hour, I kept my phone charged and I just forgot where it was. You know what I mean? So sorry, not the hand. I hate when put it down.
Oh, I know what
Anyway, lower hand. So that's whatever. The point is, yeah, I'm off Instagram. Yes, it's been amazing. And I breathe much deeper and I don't look at things. I mean, I very much am in my own world, and especially getting pregnant and staying pregnant and having a child. I'm like, I would not trade it for the world because of the complete naivete I live in is good for my mental health. I don't need to think about the worst that could happen and the worst and the what could happen. Are you doing this with your child? Are they developing here? I would be a neurotic mess, and I don't want to be. That's not how I want to mark my motherhood. So I'm just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ooh, yeah.
I love it.
Should we sing Kumbaya now to end the end? Like, how do we re-regulate?
How do I breathe? Yeah. Yeah. How do we?
Oh my gosh, everyone go.
No, but I think bottom line is yes, regulating, going for walks. You can go for a walk without your phone. You don't have to be talking to someone at all times. You can be alone with your thoughts. You can sit outside. You can play. You can play with your kids. I mean, that's a great way to regulate if you like play or do things that you enjoy with.
Do an activity with your kids or take them on an adventure or whatever y'all do that's fun together. Yeah.
Or honest to God, do things I think about myself, do things you used to do as a kid for you. Like if you like puzzles, I did. I'm about to get out some puzzles because I'm like, I want to do that with my time. Like I want to focus on something. I like creative outlets. I love helping girlfriends clean out their closet. If you're listening, you want me to help you, I'll come over. I love making fun things. So I'm like, there are other creative things I can do with my time besides consuming something. Let's lean into those, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, this is a total topic for next time, but yeah. Okay.
Well, say it.
Well, I'm so curious.
I think, well, so I didn't want to like go in another direction. I'm like,
but we can say it and then talk about it.
I was thinking that because we are kind of in this survival anxious state all the time, we feel like we can't do those things. Like we can't pull out the watercolors and a piece of paper and color for 10 minutes. We're like, well, it's just easier for me to get on my phone. And maybe it'll be the same if I look on Pinterest for beautiful things, but it's not the same.
I know.
Yeah. After having Nora, I was like, I've spent a month just sitting in this chair, feeding this baby and looking at other people do stuff. Like I need to do something, just like paint a part of the kitchen because I was like, I need to make something. I'm tired of looking at other people make something.
Yes. 100%.
Good for you. That's amazing.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah. Take back the power, evaluate, operate in your values. We are doing this alongside you. Maybe I'll do the outro. Is that okay? I'm just really taking the reins today. I'm like, well, while I'm talking, I'll just dismiss
Take us away.
We're very much in this with you. And as always, we really do value your feedback, your thoughts, where this landed with you, what you would want to add to the conversation. I don't know. I just would be very curious to hear people who listen to it, where this landed, your thoughts around this, your struggles, what's worked for you, all that jazz. So you can reach out to us on Instagram. We are at Get Mom Ready. You can find us on getmomready.com. If you hit about, you can contact us through that about page, submit, feedback, thoughts, topic requests, all that jazz. Listen wherever you listen to podcasts. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, all the things. It really does help. I know you hear every podcast say that. It really does help. And we really like doing this and we want to continue doing it. So there we go. Thank you for being here. And we will see you, or you'll hear us. And we'd love to talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.